Morning, guys. Welcome back to my podcast, Why Not Be Authentic? I am your host, Christina Isakovic, and I'm excited to be here today. There's been a subject that has been around the news lately that has been really heavy on my mind. And um, so I wanted to come on here and let's chat about it on the podcast. Why not? I was hoping that we'd have a guest to share more about it. But I know that this topic is I think everyone can be very empathetic towards this topic, and I think everyone has the fear of something like this happening. But what I'm referring to is the school shootings that keep happening in our country, which is beyond ridiculous that we even have to have this conversation. As a mom of two kids, 11-year-old little boy who plays tackle football, loves to rap, loves to dance, loves friends, just the kindest, gentlest heart. And then my little girl who's attached to her mommy's hip and loves to dance and love to sings and just always having you know each other's back and their family's back and being just a big family person. It breaks my heart to see that these school shootings keep happening. And the one that's just really laying heavy on my heart is one of the most recent ones, which was the Georgia shooting that happened at Appalachee High School on September 4th. So on September 4th, that horrible morning, 14-year-old allegedly Colt Ray came in and with an AR-15 style rifle, and that was used in the shooting. And he let loose on the school. There were four people that tragically lost their lives that day. And I'm reading this because I want to make sure I'm saying the names correctly and their ages. And I may honestly mess up their last names. And I apologize. I'm Southern, but I want to give a remembrance and dedication of this episode to those who lost their life on that tragic day of September 4th at Appalachee High School in Georgia. Schermerhorn, 14 years old, Christian Angulo, who was also 14 years old, Richard Espinwall, 39 years old. He was a defensive coordinator for their high school football team, as well as I think he was a math teacher. And then Christine Ermy, 53, who was also known as a very positive, always smiling, warm hearted woman who was a math teacher. Now, what really catches my attention with this specific shooting is, I always go down this rabbit hole of watching the news. As a parent, I want to be educated and I want to make sure I know the latest information because this is a fear that runs in through, I think, every parent's, grandparents, siblings' mind, child's mind now that they go to school because it's happening so often. But I wanted to bring attention to a really, really unique young gentleman that goes to Appalachie High School, and his name is Isaac Sanguma, and he goes by Lezone, and hopefully I said that right. He's a 16-year-old student who was a student of Miss Christina Ermy, the math teacher that tragically lost her life. And before I go into details about this, I do want to also make note that not only were four people brutally gunned down at this school, but there were also 9 other individuals that were injured. 7 of the 9 injured were from shotgun wounds. But and Colt Gray, who is the alleged shooter, again, alleged, we're saying that because of just making sure we're being politically correct, but he is charged with 4 counts of felony murder, and his dad also was brought in and charged as well. But instead of talking and bringing attention to the shooter, I want to bring attention to this young gentleman who I ran across. Actually, the first time I saw him was on the news when this tragic event happened. And when I saw this young person on the news and he started talking about his math teacher, Christina Ermy, the end of the interview, which I think was his first interview, he as he was telling the story, he said, "And I found out Miss Ermy died." And he paused and he just looked away like he just realized it, like it just hit him. And that stuck with me ever since I saw this all unfold and children, kids, students, teachers getting interviewed, parents getting interviewed. Well, ironically, I ran across him on TikTok. As you guys know, I'm a big mental health advocate on TikTok as well as a live streamer. And a lot of the times I like to talk about the topics when it comes to mental health and advocating for it, bringing more awareness. And I'm sorry, the subject gets me so choked up because it's so close to home for me because I am a mom, as well as having to have this conversation with my kids every day. But I ran across Lezone, and I really hope I'm saying his name correct, but I ran across his TikTok, and he wrote and produced a rap for his teacher in remembrance, Miss Ermy. And Lozoni, shared his story behind his song after he wrote this, really just honoring his math teacher, Christina Ermy, who was one of, again, two teachers and two students that were shot and killed at this Georgia high school shooting on September 4th. And the rap is called Forever Ermy, a rap to remember. And I'm going to read a verse or a quote from this rap because it really just oh, it touched me so deeply. He raps, I'm sending prayers to those kids as it could have been me. I'm glad the Lord saved me. I got to be strong. No, I don't let the devil break me. Thank the Lord that he ain't take me. And those are just some of the lyrics that he performed actually after school, honoring his teacher, Christina Ermy, as well as the other teacher and students that lost their lives and the 9 students that were injured on that day. And he's been in the news a lot and he's been interviewed a lot. And I just can't imagine the trauma that this young man has gone through. But I also have got to just give him so much props, the strength and just the strength that he has to share his story and create this rap song for his teacher. Gosh, it really touched my heart. And he reminds me of my son. I think the reason he reminds me of my son is because my son loves to rap. He knows the rap song of every single, like the words of every single rap song. And he loves school. He loves his teachers, and he's just got the biggest heart. And only seeing that little glimpse of Lezone and seeing his rap that his that he wrote and produced, it just reminded me of my son. And I think that's why he stuck out to me so much. But I was doing more research, and he said, basically Lezone said that he heard the shots that day and he wasn't sure if it was a lockdown because it was the first couple weeks of school, and he just ran. He said that later is when he was home and he found out that his teacher, Christina Ermy, did pass away from a report on the news. And it was then that he decided to turn the pain of losing this beloved teacher that he looked up to into art and performed a rap track that he wrote. Honoring her life. And, one thing watching these news press and listening to Lezone on the different videos that I've seen and the newscast that I've seen with him on there interviewing him is that every time he spoke about his teacher, he'd always start smiling and bringing a smile to his face. And it just really showed how much he loved his teacher. And I just think it's a really brave thing what he's doing, being interviewed, sharing his story, creating this rap song and producing it on behalf of his teacher. I think that so many students can relate to him more so than they can relate to parents, because he is a student. But also, my kids, they every single day now since this happened, because there's been so many shootings in our country in the past, gosh, I don't know how long now since I feel like Columbine in the 90s. My son really liked Lezone's rap song, and it brought tears to his eyes. And so I just wanted to highlight this young gentleman. I can't imagine what him and the other students and the other teachers and parents and all of these people are going through that went through this tragic shooting that unfolded on September 4th. But what I can say is that their strength and resilience shines bright. Lezone's strength and resilience shines bright through his interviews. It shines bright through his music that he wrote for his teacher. And I saw another student who was even younger than him talk about dodging bullets and what unfolded that day. And the other student that I saw who was younger than Lezone, 16 years old, he talked about, jumping over a desk and dodging the bullets. But those two stuck out to me. Again, I guess because of my kids, and it's a subject now that's in our household every single day. My kids are scared to go to school, and I think this is something that I'm probably going to talk about more and more on my podcast because it hits home for me because I'm a mom, and it's one of my biggest fears is something happening to my kids. And this is a real fear, and it keeps happening. And so I do want to continue this conversation, but this right here, this episode is really just highlighting not the person that made this tragic event happen, but the people that tragically lost their lives, the individuals, the students, the teachers that tragically lost their lives, the students that were hurt, the community that is hurt, that is struggling, that is scared, that's coming together. I really just wanted to highlight them and let you guys know, look, you don't know me from Adam, but I am a mom in North Carolina, and I'm with you, and my heart is with your community. And I pray for you guys. And I know it's been a couple weeks after the shooting, and I haven't really talked about this too on my podcast at all. I've talked about it a little bit on my live streams, but it's just it keeps hitting home because my kids bring it up each and every day. And so I'm going to talk about this more. I think we should spread more awareness and really bring this subject more to the forefront. So yeah, so if you would like to be a guest on my podcast and we can talk about this in more detail, I think it would be very beneficial for other parents, for our country, for kids to be their voice. But also, I just really want to leave you guys with this. Lezone, again, Isaac Sanguma. If you don't know who he is, look him up on TikTok. I will tag him in this video when I share it. But I just want to tell you, Lezone, you are very brave for sharing your story and writing this rap song and performing it at your school in front of your peers. And I can't imagine how overwhelming all of this is for you and everyone else that is there. But I'm proud of you for being the voice of your teacher and being the voice of those lives that were lost and being the voice of those students who were injured and being the voice of your community. You were very brave. You were very strong. And I'm praying for you. We're all praying for you. So, guys, if you haven't checked it out, go check it out. You can look it up on the news. I just want to leave you with this. Tomorrow is not promised. Hug your loved ones. Have these conversations with your kids and your family because it's reality. We can't avoid it. We can't be fearful of this happening and not go anywhere. But at the same time, we do need to have this conversation with our kids. We do need to have this conversation with our schools as parents. We need to find out what are their policies for lockdowns? What do they do if this happens? What do they have in place to prevent this from happening again? Um, these conversations need to happen more and more. And the last thing that I do want to say is, upon reading these reports, I did read that there was a new, and I heard this from someone that was in my live stream that shared as a community. He graduated from Appalachie last year, I think he said, and he's a teacher this year at a local school that's not like 20 minutes from this school. And he shared that just the week before that school was trained on their badges, you push a button and it alerts all the local authorities so that they can have a faster reaction to something as tragic as this, so that they can be there faster and save more lives and prevent more lives from being lost. And this school, Appalachee High School, they were trained in this new device. Again, it's their badge. They push a button. They were trained on this the week before this shooting happened. And the sheriff, I think it was the sheriff, announced that training and that implementation of that device is what saved so many, many more lives. And so I'm really glad to hear that something like that was in effect. And I thank God for this school and for the rest of those students that went through this. But I think it's something that we need to implement throughout the entire country. It said in the news that they got 26 alerts from different teachers that worked there when this started happening within a minute. And because of that, that's why there was such a vast reaction of the local police and fire department and all the, first responders that went to the school to respond to this shooting. But yeah, I get tongue tied when I talk about this because it hits home for me. And I'm having these conversations with my kids each and every day. And I urge you to do the same. And for those of you that have gone through a school shooting, Lezone, the students at Appalachee High School, I am praying for you each and every day because the aftermath as well. What is, I can imagine, is hard. The PTSD, the post traumatic stress disorder from this, you know, it's unimaginable. And so I think that we need to keep these amazing human beings, Lezone, the first responders, the Georgia community, the community of any area in the country that has had these type of tragedies unfold. Keep those students in our prayers, keep those teachers in our prayers, keep those parents, those siblings, those kids those communities, keep them in our prayers. And let's start talking about this more. It needs to be talked about more because I know I don't want to get a phone call that this has happened to my kid's school. And I know you don't either. So that's all I got for today. Short and sweet. Welcome back to Why Not Be Authentic, but this is a big subject that needs to be talked about more. So if you would like to talk about this, if you have firsthand experience in these tragic events, I hate that it is even happening in our country and we have to have these conversations, but I feel we have to have these conversations. So I would love to have you as a guest. This is to bring more awareness. This is to spread more awareness. And this is to protect our children in our communities, in our schools, in our families, and our loved ones. So yeah, let me know. And that's all I got for you guys. Go check out Lezone's rap. Go check his TikTok out. He's amazing. Haven't met him, but I've been following him and listening to his interviews and listening to his rap and shared it with my kids and they loved it. And so you should go check it out too. I think that it's good to share this stuff with our kids. We have to at this point. So until next time, I'm Christina with Why Not Be Authentic. Have an amazing weekend and continue prayers for all those involved.